that's how much time do I have left here? That's really 365 um, in a nutshell, right? And our service in a nutshell. I'm going to go on to just to cover a little bit more because assured data protection is really a disaster recovery uh, service organization as well. We're here to protect all of our customers' data. M365 is an important piece, but we also go into the data center and into the cloud to help you manage your environment. Rubrik is a full service data protection, data security solution, and they roll the management of your M365, your on-prem environment, your cloud environment, other SaaS offerings like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics and others. They roll that up into one interface that you can manage. And then, of course, we can pull all that data in and manage more than just M365 for your environment, right? But this is a great place to start because that data set, as we took that management off the table, we outsourced it to Microsoft, right? And M365, you know, is now Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint is now a subscription service. They're managing that for you. Now, let's take that one step further and bring in a third-party service with choice to manage your backups for M365. But we can go beyond that because really what we're focused on is we're focused on protecting your data wherever it is, right? We're focused on bringing in the Rubrik security pieces to help detect anomalies because we're trying to keep the bad guys out. We're doing everything we can to keep them out of the door. We're watching east-west traffic in production to make sure that we're not seeing any anomalies internally, but they're getting in, right? As I mentioned, they're getting credentials and getting in like a regular user and then causing havoc, right? We can detect some of those anomalies and react to them quicker and help get a resolution quicker, maybe before the ransomware attack happens, but also afterwards with the recovery capabilities that we have, right? And as I mentioned, disaster recovery is not cyber recovery anymore, but a cyber recovery solution can do both, right? Because it's about bringing your environment back, whether it's um, a ransomware attack or a fire or a flood. We're here to help with all those pieces. So the way we manage on-prem for our clients is really in a tiered solution, right? So for your on-prem environment, you've got a set of an environment that needs to be backed up and managed, and we can help manage that with you. We call that tier one, straight backup management. Um, Back it up locally, send long-term data to an archive, bring our best practices to the table, and help you work through that, right? Tier two is simply replicating that copy to us, having a second copy in our data centers that we can have for emergencies to recover you. This is not a tested recovery service, but if we have your data, we have processes to recover our customers, and we just run through them in an ad hoc emergency process to bring you up to tier two. You're paying for that second copy of data, but it's offsite and it's protected and it's highly accessible, not like an archive, right? And then our bread and butter is disaster recovery as a service, or what we call our tier three. And this is where we've replicated your data to us. And now we go through the process to build out a recovery process because uh, traditional DR is to set up a secondary data center and replicate our environment to that secondary data center, right? Customers have been doing it for 20, 25 years. And it's a very lockdown process, but it's manual. There's a lot of care and feeding, a lot of work to be done to make sure that that stays up to date. Well, we do it very differently. We take your data center and rebuild it in another data center exactly as it is, right? We're going to take that backup copy and recover it into what we call reserve resources, a isolated recovery environment, a clean room allows us to recover your environment with automation. So as part of the implementation, we're not only building out backup service levels and helping you get your data protected properly, but we're going to look at your environment and start to build out that recovery process, that orchestration to bring everything back, and then we test it, right? So the key to disaster recovery is testing. You've got to be able to understand how long it's going to take to recover and know that it works. We provide 2 tests a year, 3 days per test, and we give you documentation around the test and a certificate of a successful recovery. right? The idea here is that um, once you've built this process out, we're going to do the care and feeding to keep it up and running and provide you that regular testing, regular reporting that you can take to your insurance providers, um, or other regulators that care that you have a solution in place, right? Some in cyber insurance now requires a recovery solution before they'll even issue insurance. Other regulators need to know that you have a recovery solution in place. So that there's a lot of capabilities here from Assure that can help you manage uh, this piece of the business that um, has become more and more important as it's now a cyber recovery solution rather than just data protection, right? And I think this is a good place to stop for today. I've shown you a little bit about the solution, and I'm sure Brian's got a couple of comments here to close this out.
Yeah, no, Craig and Randy, great job, guys. And I know that, just like I said, as a business owner here, I was baffled to learn, like I said, how exposed our data is, and that it could be lost, and Microsoft does not guarantee that backup. Because once again, me too, I put a lot of stuff and a lot of trust and hope into OneDrive. Well, if OneDrive goes down and I can't get reconnected to that, that data is lost. And so those are things that, like I said, we wanted to make sure to do this event to kind of educate people that it's great. These solutions are phenomenal, but we also need to have fallback solutions like the backups and the recovery and the components like that. And the Sure DP makes it really simple. We'd love to have a follow-up discussion that we can kind of understand what you guys are doing, how you use an M365. That might be a great starting point. You might have a current other backup solution for your other products, but then we could talk about how you can evolve that if you're interested. We're having a lot of continuity discussions right now. Customers are saying, look, I want to get out of an active data center, and we could talk to them about how Assured DP can not only help them in the continuity of the backup, but we can also do multi-site stuff where they can recover in their cloud. And so those are other conversations that we're having really in the small to medium enterprise, that people are looking like, how do I better leverage a service rather than trying to do an active data center? And how do I leverage expertise? Because like I said, when we have seen customers who's have been exposed, like I said, having a team of resources and experts like Assured DP, who once again have never had a compromised installation, having them be able to restore that and work alongside you, I can assure you is worth the weight in gold. So, Craig, thank you guys for your continued partnership and efforts. Please do take the survey. Please submit the data on, like I said, a response. One, hook you up with the speaker, but also two, we would love to have a follow up conversation. How we can help, how we can partner. We could get a conversation with both Randy and Craig to talk about where you're at and where you might be able to go. And so we can, the first one is to make sure that your email and your OneDrive and that stuff in M365 is secured. Then we could talk about maybe in the future some other options and how we could partner and support you. So with that, thank you for taking the time today. Thank you for the customers around here, the partners. Thank you for this, your trust that you put in our organization, but also too in the prospects. Thank you guys for taking the time. And like I said, we do value that, and we want to make sure to bring great content to you guys. So with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. We hope everyone has an amazing day.